of it was stolen. But at the same time, I have brothers and sisters from different communities and native tribes and generations that leads me to this practice of seventh generation strategies to achieve goals and more. And I am thankful for those who are still here.
Almost every other version of modern reducer.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Who was that? Who just said that? Okay. I'm honored to give the microphone. So thank you. We have
Wait, you're sorry, you're muted, PK.
I was asking who was speaking about the land acknowledgement. Did we hear that? Okay, you all didn't hear any of the things that I said. Is that it?
No, we heard you until about a minute ago.
Okay. Okay. We have 3 individuals. I don't have their bios, but I'd like for them, when they start, to speak, that they give us what it is that they'd like to know, would like us to know about themselves and the work that they do. They have 15 minutes, correct,
Yes.
to speak, all 3, and then we'll have some question and answer session. So I want to start with Omali, Brother Omali Yeshitela, and to thank him. I saw a video of you, so I think I know a little bit about you, but not enough. So this is your 15 minutes.
Well, first of all, I'd like to express my appreciation to you and to all of you who are participating in this incredibly significant discussion that we're having, especially at this moment in history. I think that most of you are aware of the fact that for the last nearly 3 years, our movement, that is to say the African People's Socialist Party that I chair, and the Uhuru movement in general, that's located here and various other places around the world and in Africa. But our movement came under attack on July 22nd, on July 29th, rather, 2022. And the house that I'm sitting in now in St. Louis, in one of the most impoverished sectors of the city and the African community, was one of the sites that came under attack. At 5 o'clock in the morning, pre-dawn, this noise came from outside my home, commanding, with a loudspeaker, commanding me and everybody else in this house to come out with our hands up and our hands empty. My wife and I happened to be up and preparing for the day when it happened. And so we were startled because as this happened with the command to come outside unarmed, and we began to hear these explosions going off around the house and actually in the back stairwell of our home and around the neighborhood. And so I went downstairs and my wife followed, and we were greeted by these militarily attired forces who claimed to have been the FBI. They were armed with assault weapons that had laser targeting devices mounted on them. And when I went downstairs, my chest was lighted up with these red dots coming from their weapons, indicating that they were capable and prepared to kill me. So my wife and I both ultimately came downstairs. She came down following me and was almost hit in the face by a drone that they had sent up the stairs of my house. And I was zip tied behind my back. My wife was handcuffed behind her back. And finally, through our continuously pestering them, what is this about? They explained that that there was going to be an indictment in Tampa, Florida, later that morning, of a Russian national who was in Russia. And should he come to the United States, he would be arrested. And that my name was in the indictment. They said they were serving a search warrant. I was ultimately able to leave the house. At the same time, they had attacked our office in South St. Louis, where the majority of the white people live. They attacked our office. They used battering rams. They knocked down doors. They used the same kind of flashbang grenades there. They went upstairs to the apartment upstairs. They put the occupants, Jesse Neville and his mate at gunpoint, held them there for a while. They did the same thing to the homes of Penny Hess, who's one of the co-defendants with me, and her roommate, her housemate. They kept them under gun as well. And they searched their homes. They searched our properties. They went to our office in St. Petersburg, Florida. They knocked down all the doors in our center in St. Petersburg, Florida. They made an assault on our radio station, Black Power 96.3, which I think is also participating, a sponsor of this town hall meeting as well. They took us temporarily off the air. They went upstairs to our archives with archived materials going back more than 40 years. And they went into that. They went into our financial records. They did a looting expedition. They took computers, they took cell phones, they took other kinds of materials. So this is the attack they made on us. And ultimately, 9 months later, they indicted us. They handcuffed me, Jesse Neville, Penny Hess. They put us in leg irons, stuck us in a cell where they kept us for a few hours. And then they fingerprinted, mugshot us, and then took us before a judge who left us free, in quotes, under $25,000 signature bond. So this is what happened to us. And this was followed later on in September of this year with a trial where we were charged with being Russian agents. We were charged with conspiring to be Russian agents, and we were put on trial. And they said that our becoming Russian agents started when I went to Moscow in 2015. I went there twice. And this is where it started, they said. And of course, it was absolutely ridiculous. All of it's ridiculous. They said the overt acts that they indicated were part of the crime that we committed, including running 2 candidates for office in St. Petersburg, Florida, for Mayor Jesse Neville, and for City Council Akilia Nai, on a reparations campaign platform. And they said the Russians are the ones who told us to do that and paid for it to be done. They said that our intent and the work that we were doing to take the United States before the United Nations for violating the UN Convention on the punishment and prevention and punishment of the crime of genocide that was passed in 1948. They said the Russians had us do this. They stole 130,000 signatures that we had collected from people who supported this. They said the work that we did collecting signatures, just generally the work that we were doing that was Russian hired. So this is what they charged us. They took us to trial. We were advised that we should be quiet, don't say anything, just go to trial, because the FBI, we were told, had a 99% conviction rate. But of course, we did fight because we felt like we were obligated to struggle against this, because part of the objective of this attack was to criminalize any criticism that Black people make of our treatment in this country by the government. The government was attempting to absolve itself for any responsibility for any oppression, exploitation that we experienced in this country. And so we fought back from the very beginning. Before that morning was over, I was holding press conferences here explaining what was happening and who was doing it to us, etc. We built a massive movement, the Hands Off Uhuru movement. People in this room were participating in this. People in this meeting right now were forces who supported the work that we were doing to push this back. And so we fought them from the very beginning, and we beat them because when the FBI, the government had no human witnesses. It brought 12 FBI agents. It brought 2 professors who were supposed to be experts on Russia. All of them, not one of them, not one single person that they brought could testify that they knew anything about us working for Russia. There was no testimony to that at all. And every one of them, every one of the witnesses had to confess that they didn't see us doing anything different than what we had done before. They looked through all of our materials. They took the something like 13 terabytes of materials from us, from our devices. The equivalent, I'm told, of 2.5 million books. They found nothing in there that could justify the attack. There was nothing they could present. The only thing they brought was a picture that they took out of Penny Hess's house, I think it was, that of a bookshelf with 3 books that I had written. They had nothing at all that could support the claims that they were making. But what they did do is they introduced some photos, and they allowed our counsel to put forth testimony, to put forth evidence of what we stand for. They had in their possession videos and videos of us having meetings in our central committee where we discussed all these things. They had nothing that they could that proved anything they said. So the jury said, and then we provided to the court 1,600 letters from people. Certainly, this is not something that your ordinary bank robber or money launderer would bring into a court. We had the courtroom. We had the largest courtroom they had in the Tampa federal court, and it was they had to put an overflow room there. And this is what happened on the 16th of December. We went for sentencing, and the judge made the statement that there is not going to be any jail time. There's not going to be any fine, because the prosecutor had asked that I be sentenced to 3 years in prison, that I be charged $100,000 fine, and that the same thing that just Penny Hess be imprisoned, I think, for 2 or 3 years and be fined for $20,000, and Jesse Neville also be imprisoned. And the judge came out and said, no, he's not going to do this. And the only reason that he was able to make that statement, and the only reason that we are in a position to have this discussion with you and to claim that we want a victory because the jury said we don't work for Russia, is because we decided to fight. And the problem in most instances is people have folded and they have not fought back. They've taken plea deals and things like this. And the objective of this prosecution was to take all the resources. We have something like more than 53 economic development programs that we have established throughout this country, and many of them in St. Louis, Missouri. They wanted to take all the money we had. They wanted to take all of our resources and frighten us and frighten the people from having anything to do with us. And we fought them back. And because we fought them back, the judge had to say that were it not for this thing that they claim that we did not notify, the Attorney General of the United States that we were working for Russia, that everything they're talking about is free speech. And he said he was made extraordinarily uncomfortable with the sentence, with the law itself. He said because the court, the prosecution didn't have to even prove that we knew that we were supposed to register. And he said, how can we convict somebody for not registering, convict somebody for being a willful agent of a foreign country, a foreign government, when we didn't prove, it's not necessary to prove that they knew they had to be an agent. How could it be willful if they didn't do that? So we won that case. And they still put us on something like a 3-year probation. And so that was significant. And they also claimed that, they also said that we have to do community service, that the judge said, well, you do that standing on your head because that's what you do anyway, which was a left-handed admission that they know what we are about, that it has nothing to do with working as an agent for Russia or anybody else. So they took our radio station, Black Power 96, off the air temporarily in St. Petersburg, Florida, but we fought. And that's the thing that we want to say, that it is not we who are on the defensive. The problem that this government has is that Black people never had First Amendment rights. And we never had the Bill of Rights to service us. In fact, in 1791, when the First Amendment and Bill of Rights were actually adopted by the United States Congress, African people were property. And there was no presumption that we had the right to free speech or anything like that. In fact, it was only in 1857 when the United States Supreme Court ruled that Black people had no rights that white people had to respect. And that never changed until the Civil War that happened in this country. So there was no such rights. There was no such assumption. And Black people have been on the forefront, the vanguard, struggling for democratic rights, for free speech. Somebody I once knew, his name was Arthur Conoy, who was considered one of the signature lawyers around constitutional rights during the 1960s and earlier, talked about how during the McCarthy era, where he also was practicing law, many of the folk in the left, they ducked, they ran, they hid, they did other kinds of things. And he was really disconcerted by that. And he said the thing that turned everything around was he got a phone call from Ella Baker. Ella Baker, my dear, dear, dear comrade Ella Baker, who was a founder of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee that I worked with, called him and said, we want you to come and join with this. And he said, that is the thing that made the difference. The struggle that Black people were involved in against colonial domination made this profound difference. And that's what happened with us. So we are appealing this case. We are appealing the verdict, and we are calling on support and solidarity with that. Please go to handsoffuhuru.org to get more information. And thank you so much for this opportunity to speak to you, Terry Wilkes and Spencer Graves and other programmers in Kansas City, media activists with the Pacifica Fight Back group, Sheila Hamanaka, Betty Dafers, Michael Novick, and too many others were there with us from the very beginning of this. And I want to express appreciation for that. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'm putting a 2-minute warning into the chat. Just thank you. Thank you for your service and your bravery. The next individual, and I think I see her name is Alyssa, but it was written Elisabeth Mejia.
Yes.
You pronouncing
Elisa,
it right?
you're fine. You're fine. Elisa's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I just thank you for this invitation and this opportunity for me to speak on behalf of the Spanish language program, la Asociación de Programación en Español de Pacifica. We're part of the Association of Spanish Programs for KPFK Los Angeles. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do. And hopefully so we can get to know each other a little better and appreciate this space and this time for me to share some of who we are as an association. So basically, there's some programs in Spanish that were never given to us. Those programs we fought for, maybe about 20 years ago. And then the Association of Spanish Programs formed in 2009. And we felt the need, first of all, let me go back to us fighting for these programs in Spanish, because what our people need is real news, news that represents them, culture that represents them. And what was happening is that still happens, that all the trash in the media is not critical thinking for us. It was just about who's cheating on who, and morning shows that didn't mean anything to uplift or raise consciousness or knowledge for our communities. So we fought for Spanish programs on KPFK. When we got some hours, um, even within KPFK, it wasn't easy. The director actually got death threats at that time. The program director was Armando Gudino, and he was getting death threats. It was very difficult. And within KPFK since then, we do have some struggles, and I'll be honest with you. I'll share some of those with you. But first, I just want to talk a little bit about why we formed as an organization. Um, we formed so that the programmers could actually become organizers to have more membership. So once we got the programs a few years later, we started realizing that it's not just programming. We're organizers, and we have to build this radio to get members, to support KPFK, to get to know KPFK, and also to empower our community with the type of programming we're offering. Um, there's a lot of shows that, I mean, I do a women's show called Insurgencia Femenina, and I'm part of the Tuesday night Spanish language programming block. And so some of our programmers, volunteers, are actually, some of them have been on the LSB, and we have realized, of course, the need for APE is because we can't just rely on management and changing management to what we believe in and how we're going to organize ourselves. So we do fundraising in a very different way. We do it collectively. And we also have events sometimes so that we don't have to always fundraise directly on the radio. We could have community events where we get to know um, people who are listening to us. And then the events can also, they involve like sometimes health, culture celebrations, or historical, things that we want to celebrate within our communities, like Emiliano Zapata March. So we we feel that the Association of Spanish Programs is is so needed because of the fact that the ongoing changes, the internal changes of KPFK in terms of management and LSB members who are not always supportive, of course, of Spanish programs. Some of the challenges we face are that we can't get membership. $25 to become a member for KPFK is very difficult because online everything's in English, and when people call up, it's all English. Like press 1 to donate is in English. So there's a lot of details and challenges that we face as Spanish language programmers. And we are always in the balance of loving KPFK and being so grateful for those spaces. We're all volunteer programmers. We all work, have families, like many of us are, of course. But there's a lot of internal work that we still got to do. We're still doing it. We never throw in the towel, but we just get very frustrated sometimes. Um, there was one point that the LSB, some people in the LSB wanted to just put the Spanish programs online. They're like, oh, just put them online, just put Spanish programs online. That would be good. So we go through a lot of this, like BS, that happens internally. So APE is super important in our association because we meet, we talk, we discuss, we organize, we have events in the community to get to know people. So even to get our membership is low because we can't get people to donate sometimes $25 because things are in English, you know. So we have these events where we work our asses off to like, hey, you know what KPFK is? People will come and then we'll get a donations from an event, a physical event, which is a different way of doing things. We're all organizers, and sometimes I know some of us are bilingual, or I don't know, I can't make assumptions here, but what it hurts me sometimes is that we have some really good programs. Like we deal with like campesinos in Michoacan, like farm workers in Michoacan who are like, who Driscoll Company goes into Michoacan, exploits these farm workers, and we talk to the farm workers, we talk to the organizers, and these are like Marxist socialist people that we're having connections with in Mexico. And I just wish everybody could understand what great some of these shows are, just awesome shows. And um we're very proud of them, very proud of the work that we do. But it's just sometimes of the language barrier gets a little hard, you know. But I always appreciate this time or space that I think Michael is the one who let me know about this. And I want to go into now talking a little bit about how more than ever we need solidarity with what's happening. Our people are being terrorized right now. Um, so we really want to work with as many people as possible, um, because we all know what's going on with the hate and the anti-immigrant sentiments and actions happening. So we need KPFK more than ever right now. So we also do a bilingual community calendar. APE is now doing a bilingual community calendar on Thursdays for a half an hour. I work on that with some other compañeros. We produce that. We're also including Know Your Rights in that calendar. And we're also including like research and data about the contributions economically from immigrant communities in California. So it's not just like a regular bilingual calendar about, oh, this event. It's connected to data. It's connected to uplifting our people. So when they hear stuff, it's not just an event. It's like, hey, it talks about, we try to, combine events with data, with knowledge about contributions of Latino communities in our society and in California. So if you have a chance, you can listen to our bilingual community calendar on Thursdays from 8 to 8:30. And if there's any events you'd like us to announce, I'll put the phone number in the chat. We have a number you can text. So I just wanted to mention that the whole purpose of APA, the Association of Spanish Programs within KPFK, is to grow Spanish programs, to keep us strong during times of internal conflict at KPFK where we're not supported, and to keep people aware that bilingual or Spanish speaking programs, not everything is bilingual, the calendar is, but our programs are usually mostly in Spanish, is that we're here to stay at KPFK and we need this space more than ever. I myself I work in the adult school division for LE Unified, and I work with the hardest. I mean, I work with amazing students and people that coming from work, with their uniforms on to register for English classes because they want better jobs, because they want to help their family who has nothing in Latino America. That's what I see daily. So I'm just so happy to be working at KPFK as a volunteer for over 20 years. And we would love to see all of you at our events. I can put our text number in the chat and an email, and we can put you on our list. And we're very proud of, recently we just have we have a program that comes on every other Tuesday, and it's this musicians from East LA, young guys who know a lot about music. They are musicians themselves, but they interview different band members. They do some punk, some rock, amazing. And that's that's what we try to do in APE, is always reflect and think, you know what, if there's a space that opens, who deserves that space? So that's a new show that it's like a year old, to speak to the youth. So the youth could have a space in the Association of Spanish Programs. So I don't know, I think that's what I wanted to say. We're gonna have in a few months a march for Emiliano Zapata in East LA. And if you would like to speak at the march or just be a part of this movement that we have in Spanish programs and our events, I'll put my information in the chat and we could be in touch. But thank you for this time. And my name is Elisa Mejia, and I'm part of the Association of Spanish Programs, but specifically Radio Insurgencia Femenina, which airs on Tuesdays, every other Tuesday from 9 to 10. So thank you so much.
You still have about 3 minutes, but maybe we can add that to the questions that are going to be.
Sure, no problem, no problem.
And I just muchas gracias for all of the work that you do. I am taking on learning Spanish. I'm a child who used to speak Spanish because I grew up in New Mexico, and my friends' fathers worked on my father's construction. And I just think that it's sad not being multilingual. So I decided to do something about it this year. But you really inspired me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next.
PK, this is Bella. I just want Elisa to note that the programming in Spanish is in the evenings, and the calendar is also in the evenings because there was no timestamp there.
Okay, I'm sure that
Yeah,
knowledge
yeah, I'm
works
sorry.
for
Then
them.
let me thank you, Bella. So KPFK Los Angeles goes Spanish from 8 to midnight, Monday through Thursday. The bilingual calendar is Thursdays 8 to 8:30 p.m. And the Mujeres Show Insurgencia Femenina is 9 to 10 every other Tuesday. And right before Voces de Libertad and after me is Suplemento Comunitario on Tuesday nights. So, and then there's of course, other shows on Mondays and Wednesdays, but I can put information in the chat. Thank you.
Also,
Okay.
6 a.m. Monday through Friday, Informativo Pacifica, Spanish language newscast.
Okay. What I'm going to remind people is if you have questions for all of them or to them individually, you can start putting them in the chat. And again, thank you very much, Alyssa, for all that you do. Dr. Horne, I have known over the years all the work that you have done with my sister, Akua Holt, and for KPFT. So your 15 minutes starts now.
Okay, thank you for inviting me to this important forum. My name is Gerald Horne, historian and activist within Pacifica, going back to WBAI in the 1970s, continuing as noted through KPFT and in fact KPFK to this very day. I should also say that I'm a little under the weather, so I may have to sign off prematurely. It took an incredible act of will for me to sit here thus far, given the way I'm feeling right now. In any case, this past week of shock and awe has given a foretaste of what to expect from the Trump team in coming years. Withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord, withdrawing from the World Health Organization, militarizing the border in preparation for mass deportations, and threatening imprisonment for executives in major cities who dare to intervene. Most ominously, there is the pardoning of the criminals who sought to execute a coup on January 6, 2021, some of whom are already threatening retribution and retaliation.
Would you please mute David LeGrand? There we go.
But for the 77 million strong Trump base, perhaps the most important measure was the decision to overthrow diversity, equity, and inclusion, overturning an executive order inked by President Johnson in 1965, seeking to bar discrimination at the workplace, which has served as a foundation for affirmative action, already writhing in its death throes in light of recent U.S. High Court decisions overturning this anti-discrimination regime at Harvard and the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. From the point of view of the Trump base, discrimination against the beneficiaries of affirmative action is a gain for the Trump base. Unfortunately, our team will be on defense in coming years, but as any sports fan can tell you, a strong defense can generate offense. Already there is talk in Washington, D.C. of organizing a general strike for May 1st, 2025 in response to the threat to worker rights embodied in this shock and awe program, particularly the idea, a longstanding dream of the ultra-right, to move the jobs of the federal government from the vicinity of Washington, D.C., leaving workers with the unappetizing choice of moving, for example, to Idaho or becoming unemployed. In this context, our sister station, WPFW, becomes critically important, and my first recommendation is that the Pacifica Board ignite a national and international campaign to raise funds for WPFW so that it can coordinate a national and international news bureau to keep close tabs on doings in the nation's capital. In this regard, we should also take advantage of our global alliances by, for example, a more dedicated sharing of content with media organs from the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and their allies, such as Telesur, Press TV, Radio Havana, etc. Unfortunately, this impending attack on the mass media is nothing new. Many of us recall the Red Scare following World War II, where a particular target was television, Hollywood, and radio. We recall vividly that it was hardly accidental that the anti-Jim Crow, anti-racist movement accelerated with the founding of Pacifica Radio about 75 years ago and the ascendancy of TV as a household appliance, which was able to broadcast nationally and internationally the horrors that were part and parcel of U.S. apartheid. Similarly, we recall from about 1919 to 1967, there was an Associated Negro Press with stringers and reporters nationally and internationally that was able to tell our story of struggle domestically and globally, to the point where the mainstream press, which theretofore often had ignored our stories, changed course and began finally hiring reporters to cover this titanic battle. Similarly, a turning point in our movement arose in 1955 when a Black teenager, Emmett Till from Chicago, was lynched in Mississippi with his terribly disfigured body left in an open casket at his Illinois funeral, with photos snapped by the recently minted Black-owned Johnson Publishing Company, with said photos distributed globally, creating tremendous pressure on U.S. imperialism. A particular target of the post-1945 Red Scare were unions. For example, some of you may recall my book, Class Struggle in Hollywood, which deals with this fraught manner. More specifically, a central thrust of the Red Scare was to weaken left-leaning unions, which largely succeeded. The National Maritime Union, for example, where the late Pacifica board chair Jack Odell was once a leading member, was weakened severely to the point where U.S. vessels have been equated with being floating slums. Likewise, we should not forget that former chairman of the board of Pacifica, the late Jack Odell, who passed away a few years ago in his 90s in self-imposed exile in British Columbia, Canada, was a mentor and advisor to the late Dr. King, to the point where JFK took MLK into the Rose Garden of the White House to escape the presumed surveillance of the FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover in order to instruct Dr. King to get rid of Jack, which Dr. King agreed to do, but then maintained subterranean contact with him, which the FBI knew since they were surveilling him and Jack, helping to bolster Hoover's anger to the point where he called Dr. King, quote, the most notorious liar in the country, unquote, paving the way for his assassination in Memphis in April 1968. One lesson that Pacifica should draw from this experience is a lesson I'm sure we already know, which is to seek alliances with progressive forces in the union movement, be it the UAW, Service Employees International Union, International Longshore and Warehouse Union, Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, Coalition of Labor Union Women, etc. This should mean affirmative efforts to include their envoys as interviewees and conferring with their leadership to devise how we can be most useful to them. Assuredly, if the rumors of a general strike on May 1st becomes a substantive reality, then this kind of relationship would become exceedingly important. It is no accident that the valuable Pacifica radio archives contain some of the most valuable resources for the anti-Jim Crow and anti-racist movement. Obviously, we need to put our heads together and think about how to more vigorously exploit those resources in a positive sense. Much of this content emerged during Jack Odell's tenure as board chair, but to be fair, this kind of content has become a hallmark of Pacifica, both before and after Odell's administration. This has been an explicit recognition of the structure and history of the United States itself. To wit, as scholars have begun to inform us, the United States has been a settler colonial regime with the settlers enmeshed in class collaboration. Indeed, one cannot begin to understand how and why 77 million, mostly settler descendants, voted for the Tangerine Tyrant without understanding class collaboration. Similarly, the unpaid sector of the working class and their descendants historically have been in the vanguard of class struggle, as Chairman Omali just made reference to. This leads to my second recommendation. In order to fight back against Trumpism and their marching orders from Project 2025, we should redouble our anti-racist reporting. Not least, it has the added advantage of appealing to constituencies most prone to back our agenda, thereby ensuring not only that we survive but thrive. Let me elaborate. More to the point, in light of the pardon of the coup plotters of January 6th, the possibility is now created of the ultra-right developing an armed militia with carte blanche to attack state organs and opponents of the ultra-right. We should work closely with relevant committees of the National Lawyers Guild and overall the New York City-based Center for Constitutional Rights, public interest groups such as the Southern Poverty Law Center, the Institute for Constitutional Advocacy and Protection at Georgetown, and other groupings that monitor these paramilitaries who have an eerie resemblance to the Ku Klux Klan, which fundamentally was the armed wing of the then segregationist Democratic Party in the Jim Crow South. Indeed, I recommend concretely that Pacifica initiate a nationally broadcast program. Let's call it Fascism Watch, drawing upon experts from and beyond the aforementioned organizations. I would also point you to the guest list of the program that I host, Freedom Now on KPFK Los Angeles, which draws heavily from trends in cutting-edge anti-racist scholarship. And again, these guests are then prone to support our overall agenda. Almost all of my interviews can be found on the Activist News Network on YouTube. I have reason to believe that there are interviewees drawn nationally and internationally for this program that theretofore were not familiar with Pacifica, but became so after being interviewed to our benefit. Thank you for your attention.
The minute you started talking, I asked the question. It ended up going only to one person, Dr. Horne, but I'm going to make sure that everybody gets this question and think about what it is that you are really talking about. And that is, how do we handle the problem of Pacifica's reluctance for DEI and being and having anti-racist activism in the walls of these 5 stations? What are we going to do about that? Because one of our biggest problems is that racism isn't just a Republican attribute. And we need to talk about it. How do we do that? And either one of you can answer this question, because for you, Elisa, that's got to be done in Spanish too. So I'm just starting that off with the question of looking in our own backyard. Who wants to go first?
I'm wondering whether or not, as a suspended member of the KPFA LSB, I could point out what's been happening inside KPFA with regard specifically to racist and very, and also just a general sense of censorship in regard to speaking up about Palestine and other issues. I don't know whether or not this would be the time to say anything regarding that.
The questions were to our three. I think Dr. Horne will be leaving, so maybe you can start, Dr. Horne, and then Brother Omali and Lissa next of that question of our own backyard.
Well, I've had my piece. I gave recommendations that that speak to programming, so I'll defer to others to address this as I begin to sign off.
Okay.
Well, thank you. One of the things I wanted to comment on is it was inferred or referenced by a prior speaker that had to mention the fact that that Trump was you, and that this did not begin with Donald Trump or the Republicans. And I think that's extremely important for us to recognize. I mean, it wasn't Trump's Justice Department or FBI that attacked my home at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was Biden-Harris organization that did that. And I think that we have to fight and organize against the system itself. And certainly we have to be able to look at particular individuals who represent a particular expression of the oppression and exploitation that we're looking at. But the system is exploitative. And I think even if you talk about issues like fascism, I want us to be careful because fascism is an anomaly. It is not something that is constant, consistent. It is something that occurred at a particular time in history, but slavery was not fascism. The fact that we've got more than the largest prison population in this country being occupied, prisons being occupied primarily by Africans and Mexicans and other colonized people, it's never been characterized as fascism. And what happens is when the contradictions that we experience as colonized people begin to penetrate or threaten to penetrate the life spaces, the social spaces of people who are themselves colonizers, then the question of fascism gets bandied about. And I wanted to just remind us that that even when you look at the history of the struggle against fascism, you see that it did, some of the most outstanding fascists that we were told in the world who fought against the Nazis in France, the French who did that, but at the same time they were fighting fascism. They were warring and murdering Black people in Algeria. They controlled 14 particular territories in Africa. They were making war against the people in Vietnam. The colonial question is constant. It's there all the time. It does not require some kind of a shock. It's not an anomaly. The anomaly is when it does not oppress us. And I think that the issues being raised here around the Spanish language programming, the issues being raised around the contradictions impacting Africans and others, and how we treat this is a critical question. And that's I just wanted to say that. I mean, because the contradiction is not our contradiction. For example, we got a judge that says that that this is a free speech issue. They knew it was a free speech issue before they attacked my home, before they required me to commit perjury by saying that I'm working for Russia, something to that effect. This is important, I think, for us to understand. And I'm calling on you and everybody, because one of the critical issues I've seen over a period of time with most of the stations that we would be concerned with is the inability to deal with the question of Palestinians and Africans and Mexicans, as we are saying now. These are the issues that need to be on the forefront of what it is that we do. So I just wanted to say that I don't know exactly how to deal with the way this thing is reflected inside the Pacifica process itself, but certainly I think that all of us who are capable need to be involved in advancing the struggles against colonialism, which is the majority of the people of the world live under colonial domination, colonial oppression. And so this is the foundation for the whole system. The whole capitalist system rests upon a foundation, a base of colonialism. So anyway.
Thank you so much for that. I see one hand, and that was Bella, and I didn't see another question. But Alyssa, do you want to weigh in on that? If not, I will let Bella ask her question. No? Okay. Bella?
Thank you, PK, so much. And thank you, Chairman Omali. Thank you, Dr. Gerald Horne, Elisabeth, Milos, and Alyssa Mejia came in right before Elisabeth Mejia was starting to speak. I would like to hear from Elisabeth Milos, who was recently suspended, taken off the local station board, along with Steve Seltzer. And this is another power grab. The strategies of the New Day movement within Pacifica are tremendous. And along with our movement outside of Pacifica, organizing against colonialism, I agree, should be at the forefront because it's a global matter, is not regional. I would like to hear just these examples of how far are these people moving forward to completely take over the foundation. And this is an issue that we bring at these events, these town halls, but we never come up with a resolution. So at the forefront, there must be a paradigm by which we concentrate on this issue. I will come back later, PK, but I want to hear from Elisabeth Milos how the treatment of certain people, and I also was suspended at the end of 22, and all our local station board at KPFK. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Bella. Elizabeth, can you do this in about 90 seconds? We still have about 10 minutes left, but I see Ruth and Esther and Ruth.
I think it's important in terms of everybody being informed about what happened. It's not a situation that just involves me and Steve, but rather the fact that it was happening during a time when we were denouncing the role that New Day and the protectors in particular of KPFA, the majority group that is in control of the KPFA LSB at this moment, and their role and specific people within the officers of the LSB who had played a role in denouncing WBAI to the Federal Communications Commission. And we held a speak out in front of KPFA denouncing that and how dangerous that could be during a potential Trump administration, and which basically has come to pass because this is basically what Trump is purporting to do, to control and to take away the licenses of non-commercial education media that they can, whose narrative does not fall in line with them. And what happened as a result is that we were suspended with false charges. And the suspension itself is not even part of the bylaws of Pacifica, because normally you need 2/3 majority in order to expel somebody. And that is very dangerous for all of the stations, because that means that if by a simple majority, any other member who has been duly elected by the listeners could be suspended for the remainder of their term. Being suspended does not mean they can replace you, but being suspended basically means that the will of the listeners has been violated. There's a lot more we could say regarding this, but this is the internal thing. And there's also been a lot of racism that's been going on. Our Palestinian, recently elected Palestinian member of the KPFA, Dr. Rabab Al-Duhadi, has been silenced repeatedly and muted when she asks questions. And we have Cheryl Davila, who is a former council member for Berkeley the City Council.
Can
And
you add some of those things maybe in the chat? I'd
yes,
like to get the
I'd be
people.
happy to. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
And Cheryl Davila is the only Black woman on the KPFLSB, and she's also been terribly bullied and terribly attacked by the members of the officers and PMB member, especially PMB member Fred Dodsworth, who has been a very, very noxious and toxic. Okay, so that's what thank you.
Miss Esther.
Good evening, and I would like to just make a few points because I actually will have to leave soon also. But I took notes on many of the speakers so far. I just wanted to say that I think that on this point, I've been struck by how, we used to have like kind of national editorials coming from Pacifica. And I think that the schisms within the foundation are kind of revealed by the fact that I haven't heard national editorials kind of, that talk about anti-racism, that talk about anti-colonialism, that talk about anti-imperialism. And I think that when I think about the foundation principles, the mission of the foundation, it talks about being against war. It talks about for peace. And from what I understand, just hearing from reports from people at other stations, in Washington, D.C. at WPFW, that, there are stations that are that have supported the there are differences about Ukraine. There's differences about the genocide in Gaza. And I think that the fact that I know for myself that I have confronted people who actually are doing shows on Pacifica who are not anti-imperialist, who are not anti-Zionist. And so the fact that we have this range of people and there isn't a consistency, as far as I can see, around social justice across the foundation. You're going to get people, like anybody can get on the board, at some stations, anybody can get a show. And if there isn't a kind of cohesive idea around social justice, it's no wonder to me that the sister who spoke and before me is coming under this kind of attack. I think that it's very important, especially when you have people who are Zionists accusing other people of loving Hamas or loving terrorists or whatever, just feeding into this narrative that puts us all in the crosshairs, because that's what they want to say. Unlike the liberation movements in Algeria or Vietnam or anti-colonial struggles in other countries, for some reason, the people fighting for their liberation in Palestine aren't considered a national liberation movement when they have every right to struggle against occupation. International law is on the side of the Palestinian people. Occupied people have a right to fight occupation by any means necessary. And Israel has no right to occupy them, to take over their land, to kill them, to genocide them, to take over more land now in the West Bank. And it seems to me, I don't really hear that message enough on Pacifica. It's like there's some ambivalence about it. And if Zionists, basically have free reign to suppress news from the Palestinian people and basically by omission support the Zionist cause, then no wonder we have problems at Pacifica. So I'm sorry, I'm done. I just want to say that. And then
I was hoping you could be in one of the breakout sessions, because I think I've got
You
one
know,
more.
I probably can because I can probably put it on my phone and be in the car. I just have to get in the car. And
Okay.
so I can probably kind of, still be on in some kind of way, but I have to get off this laptop right
All
now.
of this is very good and very needed. And
Yeah.
that means that we don't stop tonight.
Yeah, and then the only other thing is that I'm going to participate in the one making outreach to other news organizations. I like what Gerald said about other news organizations in the global South, because many of those have been kind of shadow banned or outright banned under the Biden administration. So
Yeah.
Telesur or RT.
Well,
or,
let's get to the breakout sessions because we have 3 minutes.
all
Okay.
right.
All right. Miss Ruth?
Thank you, PK. I'm glad to be able to take this opportunity to tell you that I've heard great things about you, especially from Dan McCrory on the cab. I hope people won't jaw drop when I say this, but I've been a 30-year member of KPFK, and admittedly, my quote unquote day job was very many hours, and so I only listened. And I didn't, know a lot about the intricacies of KPFK until recently. But, and I'm sorry, maybe you don't have the time, or maybe we can have a discussion at another point. But I had no idea that there were DEI problems at KPFK. And as far as maybe I'm not listening to enough programs. Obviously Amy Goodman is not, pro-Zionist, but maybe other stations have that problem. But, it's jaw-dropping because we're supposed to be the alternative. So if you can briefly address what the DEI problems were, at least I'll be educated. I'm certainly not challenging it. It's just that, as I said, my day job has prevented me from knowing these inner things. Thank you.
Yes, I'd be happy to have a conversation about that in a little while. One of the things that we want to make sure of is the Pacifica mission statement. And that Elisabeth just asked us to announce the Spanish language breakout sessions and who wants to be in that particular session. We are now 1 minute when we're supposed to make these breakout sessions. So Michael, can you tell us how that's going to work with those questions about the Spanish breakout session?
Yeah, I believe people can see the screen share that we have about 9 breakouts, one of which does address the question of how to deal with racism, sexism, economic elitism in, so-called progressive media institutions. Another one is looking at how to move Pacifica as an institution into addressing some of the things we've been talking about and being part of the fight back against these repressive measures. A third is looking at how to build alliances with other communities under attack and to situate the struggle about press freedom and community media in the context of these attacks going on against migrants, against women, against LGBTQ people. And there will be one in Spanish for people who are more comfortable speaking in Spanish. So I think the list is still showing. I'm not sure how to change my screen to be able to unmute myself, but there's a list of 9 of them, and shortly we'll open up the breakouts and people can select which one they want to be in.
Yeah, Alyssa, if you could say in Spanish that the number of the breakout session is number 5. Cinco? Cinco? If you can say it in Spanish.
Sí, el número si vamos a ir a unos cuartitos para platicar, es número 5.
I had it right. Okay, Michael, I think we have said it in Spanish, and Let's start the breakout.
This is Sheila. I'd like to add that anybody who is challenged with reading or dealing with Zoom stuff, or who is on a telephone, can simply stay in the main room, and the main room itself will become a breakout session.
Okay.
Can I say something? I'm being introduced to join room 1 when I was supposed to be assigned to room 5. And also we were supposed to gauge how many people here were interested in joining a Spanish language, so we could gauge how many people would join the Spanish language breakout room. If we could ask that of people and people could raise their hands, maybe, so we know how many people would be interested in joining.
Well, he's inviting people to the different numbers,
Right.
room 2.
I understand, but the room number that I'm being invited to is room number 1 and not 5, which is the one that I was assigned to be a note taker to. Which
Okay,
is
Michael,
Spanish
how do we
language.
fix this?
I haven't invited people to anything. It's everyone has the option to pick the room they want.
Oh, okay. I'm seeing this thing in my screen that says join breakout room number 1. Michael Novik is inviting you to join room number 1.
I don't know where that came from. I didn't do it.
Okay, so can we give
Michael,
instructions
since
to people? Sorry, I'm sorry. The instructions to be able to choose which breakout room they can join is in the bottom where you press more, and there you would choose breakout rooms among that, and that gives you the list of the different breakout rooms, but it only gives you the list of the room numbers. The Spanish language one is room number 5, but there's room number 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 9. And I believe that the list
Okay,
that's on the screen.
I will screen share the list of what they are again. I showed it I asked people if they could see it, and everyone said
Right.
yes, so I took it down.
No,
Hang on a
but
second.
the instructions about more was not included, so people could know how to join those different rooms. That's all. I didn't
Oh,
hear
I
those
see what you're saying.
instructions.
Yes, you have to click on more at the bottom of your screen on the control panel,
And then
and
you
then
choose.
click
That
on.
only lists numbers, Michael. It does not list
Yes, I'll
topics.
show. There's no way to list the topics. I will show the list of numbers, what the numbers represent again.
I just put 1 through 8 in the chat, so those who are able to see the chat can see it. If there's a 9, I can't see that.
Michael, since Marlo is here, I can go to any breakout room I want. Is that it?
Right, you hit
Sure.
more, you hit more. When you hit more, you go to breakout rooms, and it gives you the room numbers 1, 2 through 9, and you just hit join the blue button.
Excuse me, I would just want to announce that in Spanish.
Yes,
Muchas
please.
gracias. Yo podría hacerlo si quiere.
Sí, adelante.
Muchas gracias. Ok. Les quería avisar a los hispanoparlantes o las personas que hablan español que deberían de apretar primero el botoncito que dice more o más abajo, que son 3 puntitos, y cuando uno aprieta ahí busca la palabra breakout rooms, que son cuartos que tienen como 4 cuadritos, y ahí puede seleccionar el cuarto número 5, que sería el cuarto para hablar en español, para el cuarto donde si se sienten más cómodos hablando en castellano pueden hablar. Ok, gracias.
I see now
Number
for
9, the question was asked about number 9. I moved the screen and realized it wasn't visible. Number 9 is a possible one. We needed a convener. The proposal was a breakout on supporting whistleblowers. There was also an in-person breakout, which is not listed because it's not on Zoom, which is going to take place in Kansas City, Missouri at Simpson House. Still about half the people are unassigned. If you don't join a group, you'll be in the meeting room. I see people are starting to get assigned. Okay, dropping down.
Ruby, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I just have a question. I just really appreciate this whole discussion, and I would like to hear more from Chairman Omali Yeshitela about the whole colonial analysis. And I wanted to know which breakout room that the chairman was going to be presenting in.
Which one, Michael?
Dots, 3 dots.
We did not require the
Breakout
speakers to
rooms.
stay for the breakouts because everyone is in a lot of demands on their time. So I'm not sure if Chairman O'Malley is still on the call and has picked one. We did not assign him to one. He might be in the one that is being facilitated by Maltzby and Forrest from Black Power
He
96.
said 30 minutes for the breakout when they come back. I've got 25 minutes now. So,
Yeah.
I'm
Question.
sorry. When I go to more, I'm not. When I go press the 3 dots for more, I'm not seeing an option. I'm on my phone now. Is it different for the phone?
it should say captions and breakout rooms. Do you see breakout rooms?
Options.
I don't see it. Not on my
I
phone.
don't see it either. I don't either on
Okay,
an iPad.
I'm just going to put people in rooms if you haven't joined anything.
I don't see it
I
either.
don't want to be just put in anyone.
Okay, person on the phone 541, what group do you want? Okay.
Give the list, Michael, again.
It's on. It's on the screen.
I'm just gonna
I don't see
it's
anything.
still being shared on the screen. I'm just gonna go through it. Akinchile,
Yes, I don't see the meeting
it's in
rooms
the
at
chat
all.
and it's on the screen. I will put you in a room. Tell me which
No,
one.
don't put me in a room. I want to be in a room with Chairman Omali Yeshitela if he's on. Ooh.
He's not gone.
Huh?
Omali?
Yes.
Yeah,
Michael,
I'm saying
this is Esther. I want to be in room 3.
Nancy would like to be in number 9.
okay.
Bella would like to be with Esther Iverin, room
Okay, that was
3.
room 3.
But I don't know how to go there. I don't see a way to
That's
go
all right.
there.
It just I'll put you there.
Okay.
Okay,
This is what happens when we don't really have power. Ooh.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
This is Norma. I would like to see if there is some work being done to see how we can put people at meetings that are going on that need to be broadcast at the time that they're going on.
That's a good topic for the breakout room.
Yeah, which one?
I would say that's the one that Black Power 96 is hosting. Sandra Forrest and DJ Maltzby.
Are you answering me because
Yes, I'm answering you, Norma.
I'm having trouble understand. My hearing is not wonderful. Could you say it again?
The one you're interested in is the one being hosted by Sandra Forrest and
What
DJ
number is it?
Maltzby. Look at the list. I can't look at both things at the same time.
it's number 6.
Thank you.
And Michael, I would like to be put in number 6 too. This is Barbara White.
Okay, give me a second.
Excuse me, can I say it's like where you get the the breakout rooms. If you're on your phone, just click on where you see all the video screens are, and then it should appear on the top left. There's 4 squares, and then click on that. It says room 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, Craig Lubo, any idea where you want to go? Craig?
Serene to 6, please.
Can you please put me in, this is Norma, put me in 6? I don't see an option to
Okay,
join.
fine. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, James Bryan, room 3, please.
James, what room did you say?
Room 3, please.
Janice?
None.
Sir? Huh? None? You'll stay in the center? Okay.
Um,
Joan is on twice. I don't know why.
Michael, I'm trying to get, I don't see a click on for room 3, which is tearing up Pacifica, if you will. And I don't seem
Okay.
to be able
I'll
to get
move
in.
you. Give me a second.
Thank you.
What, I don't see you on the alphabetical list. Are you under Mimi or something else?
Should be.
We back trying to get people
Weird.
in. Where my child at? Let me see. See, this gonna make people leave. Like, I'm like, it's not organization. So I'm like, man,
I can't find you on the list. I don't understand why.
She's on the chat. Mimi's on the chat.
What do
For the participants. Mimi's listed under participants,
Oh,
or at least she was, yeah.
here she is. Okay. You want to, which room did you say, Mimi?
I want to go into, I believe it's room 3, dealing with Pacifica.
Okay. You're assigned now. It should
okay.
move you in a moment.
Do you see the name Sayero?
What's the first letter?
Sayero. Akinchile Sayero Oshosi.
I was never invited. Is he putting people into a chat? Putting them in what
The
they're
reason
asking.
why I ask is because could you put me in the room with 96 Black Power Radio? Possibly. I'd appreciate it.
I guess I have to.
Okay, so it's under A for Kinchili, and you'll have to tell me which room it is because I'm looking at the list of names and the numbers. I don't have the list of rooms in front of me.
Black Power Radio.
Yeah, tell me which room number that is. Look in
I'm
the
not
chat.
sure.
Look
I'm on
in the
phone.
chat. Oh, you're on the phone. Okay, hang on a second. I'll have to look in the chat.
Okay. I know. Both my computers crashed at the same time, so I lost that capability. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to stop the screen share so I can look at the chat.
Number 6.
Number 6.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
And can we jump and just say which room we'd like to be in, Michael?
Yeah, tell me who's speaking though, because I can't.
3, room number 3. This is Joni.
Who is speaking?
This is Joni.
Eisenberg?
Yep.
Okay, give me a second. Okay, it'll take a second and you should. Okay. Anybody else? Lou?
Yes, I'd like to be number 9, please.
Sure. Odom?
Yeah, I was supposed to go to 3 and I couldn't figure
There
out
you go.
how to.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 6. 6. Oh, God.
It's too late now.
Oh.
Hang on a second.
It's not muted.
Ellen Carter, you want to go somewhere?
Can you read that name?
Spencer Eves?
Sheila, you staying in the center?
No, Spencer, please mute yourself. This is Sheila. I'm supposed to be leading breakout group number 4, but when I click on number 4, it took me to Kansas City. It's just like.
All right, I don't know what to say. I just put you in 4 again. Tell me what happened.
No, don't put me in 4 again because I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. Hello?
Yeah.
Not now. No, I'm going to click not now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, is there anybody here in the main room that was supposed to go to the arts, graphics, and computer skills room?
And that was number 4 on the
That
list?
was supposed to be number 4, but number 4 actually takes you to Kansas City, Missouri.
I what's wrong with Kansas?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said, Michael.
All right. I don't understand how it's possible to take you to Kansas. There must be somebody in Kansas wants to be in room 4 with you. That's all I can think of.
I don't know.
There is no room for Kansas.
I know, but that's where I was.
Maybe someone in Kansas.
They told me to mute. I was annoying them, okay?
Okay.
Michael, I was in room 1 and there were I think there was at least one other person, maybe 2, one person labeled Josie, and
Yeah,
all of a
that's me.
sudden it just has a big screen with me. So I think I was the only one. So I'm not sure what happened with room 1.
So this is Josie. I was in room 1 by myself. Then everyone left. So I don't.
I was in there and I never left. But
is this Ruth?
Yeah.
Oh, Ruth, yes. So I wasn't sure what was going on because I wasn't sure if there was a chair for the meeting. So we can always go back.
What was the topic of room 1?
Building local independent media.
I see.
That was supposed to be Spencer Graves. That was his topic, and he was supposed to be chairing that. Maybe he went to the wrong room, and that's who you saw in room 4. I don't know what to tell you. Spencer is physically at the location in Kansas City where they're having an in-person meeting, but he was supposed to host a discussion or convene a discussion about supporting and building local news.
Josie, I'm happy to go back to room 1 if you want to go back to room 1, or I can stay here, whatever you like.
Well, no, I don't know. Maybe it's just the 2 of us. I don't know.
Let me see where Spencer is. Yeah, Spencer in Kansas City is in room 4. I'm going to move Spencer to room 1.
Okay, Ruth, I'll go back to 1.
Me too.
Spencer has been kidnapped and put in room 1.
One disappeared now. I don't know what the hell is going on. Okay,
Well,
Spencer's in room 1 at this point. So, Sheila, why don't you join room 4 and see if anyone else is there?
I'm sorry, what?
When you went to room 4, Spencer put himself in room 4 for some reason. I don't know why.
But I wasn't looking at Spencer. I was looking at a room full of people sitting in chairs.
I understand that, but Spencer is physically in Kansas City. But
right, I know that.
Computer.
I know that. So I was watching a room full of people, and they seemed to think that I was in the wrong room.
Okay, but I'm saying Spencer is now in room 1.
Okay.
If you go to room 4, he won't be there, and you won't be looking at the room of people.
Okay, I'll try it. I don't know how to get out of it once I get in it, but I'll try.
Well, I'll just move you. I'm not going to move you anyway. You're still invited to room 4. You just have to join it.
I'll try it.
So let me close this window, see who's here. Sorry, I thought this was going to work a lot more smoothly than it did. I thought so. It looks like there are still 12 participants in this room. Is that right? Let me just ask everyone to unmute. You'll need to unmute yourselves to speak.
Hey there, David de la Gran. I'm just kind of jumping in and out, but I jumped back in right now, and so I don't know like what the breakout rooms are about or how to join one.
Okay. Let me show it one more time. There are 8 breakout groups. The information about them is in the chat. Let me scroll back up and I'll read it to you. Hang on a second. Number 1 is building and supporting independent local news media. The convener is Spencer Graves, who's in Kansas City and works on KKFI. Number 2 is overcoming racism and sexism, aggressive media, and Marlo Mason is convening that. Number 3 is advocating or organizing within Pacifica to defend community media. Number 4 is using graphics design and writing skills to promote our campaigns. Number 5 is in Spanish. Number 6 is volunteering and community radio. That's being led by Black Power 96, Sandra Forrest.
Can you put me in number 6?
Is that Norma? Was that Norma speaking?
You can't put me in number 6?
I just it said move you to number 6. It didn't
Okay.
happen. You're in number 6. Yeah, no, you're in number 5. Sorry. Okay, so at this point I have Anasa, Dane, David de la Gran, Gwendolyn, Ian, Janice. I have Joan Di Lorenzo, Johan Bedingfield, Michelle, Tingling Clemens, and Shaquille's AI note taker. Are you all here? Do you want to speak about something? You didn't go to any room. Sheila, you're back.
Michael, it's Joan. I wanted to go with you.
Okay, well, I'm going to send you to 8. It's not clear to me what. Sheila, are you willing to stay in this room if I go to 8?
Yeah, wait a second, because I can't find my screen.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, David de la Gran here. Can you send me to group number 5?
Zoom control, is that? Zoom control, that's what it says.
Oh, here it is.
Ian Monroe, you want to unmute yourself and say something, or where you'd like to go? Or
Why don't you just sit back and relax? Be over soon.
Hi, this is Sheila. I'm back. There was nobody in room 4.
Okay. I guess there
Are you
no
still here,
others.
Michael?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I
Can
can't
you hear
hear
me?
you.
Yeah, Christ, why not? I don't know. I'm not muted. It shows me as speaking. I hear you.
Michael,
You've got to hit OK that you're being recorded.
is he muted?
No, he's not muted now. You shouldn't be.
Now I can't hear her.
Can you hear me?
No.
PK, I hear you. Can you hear me?
I must be having
I
trouble.
can hear you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I must be having trouble with my audio.
Okay.
I can't hear anybody.
You're not frozen?
Sheila.
Can you see my chat?
Did she say? Is she talking to me?
What? Does that mean something?
Oh no, to the wrong person.
It is it's a sound symbol. But you were,
Should be
this
able to
is a
hear
sound
them.
symbol, the first thing.
But it doesn't make sense to click it because
It's
it
not.
seems like it's on, right?
It does.
Damn it.
Can
What's
you
that
see
say?
my chat? I don't know. I'm like the most tech ignorant person.
What does it say?
Can you see my chat, Sheila?
This is
This is
Michael.
Michelle, and I want
Oh, wait,
to.
let me mute you because they'll be hearing you.
Did you see my chat, Michelle? Oh no, yeah, you might have. I think I personally put it to
Okay,
her.
Michelle says she wants to go to 8, but she can't speak and she's not well. She has to leave. Keep up the good work. PK, let's see if I can make you a co-host.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go hop into room 8.
Okay.
And maybe you can talk to the people in this room because there's a bunch of people that are not in any.
Okay, I'm the co-host. I think there is about less than 3 minutes and people will be coming back into the room. I went into a couple of them because I just wanted to make sure that people had what they needed. I can't hear you, Sheila. You're muted. Is there anyone who wants to say something? Shaquille? Odom, Dane, Ruth, Jonathan, Janice, can you hear me? Ian, can you hear me? Monroe? Okay, thank you, Dane.
I'm
Johan?
just gonna say one thing. I'm on a Android. I was on a computer and that was working fine. On the Android, I can't get into a breakout room. Does anybody, the thing that says more doesn't have the choice for breakout? Does anybody know anything about that?
Well, we're at the 2-minute
Oh,
warning.
okay,
So
fine, thank you.
everybody is coming back.
Okay, perfect.
Was there
Thank you.
something that you wanted to know or ask a question about to the group?
Not really. I would have done it in that room on room 1, but that's okay. I'll leave it aside. It's a sensitive topic, but thank you. You've done a great job.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that so much. I do my best. People should be coming back in the next 20 seconds, I think. One of the things I want to say to everybody is that there are 3 questions basically from the breakout rooms when everybody comes back into the main room. So I'll wait till everyone comes back. There should be no more remaining time, so mostly everybody will be coming back. And I will say this again as I watch them come back, but I'm telling those of you who are here.
Bipartisan support to shape a goal to bring traffic fatalities to zero by 2040. In the kills.
I wonder if this is everybody who, if we're missing anybody, if anybody went home or whatever. I love the way your faces are going all around.
Oh, we have 5, maybe 7 seconds left, and we're supposed to go back to the
main
room. We're in the main session.
Everyone is back. The
Yeah, we
breakout
back.
sessions
Yeah.
are over.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get his.
Yeah, we're all back.
We back in the main
I
room.
thought the breakout sessions were going to be until
Corazón
5:45.
We can do that
30,
again.
30 minutes. I thought it was going to be 30 minutes. So.
Yeah, we could do that again.
I have to leave. My battery's gone. This is
Oh,
Janet.
no.
This is Janice.
Don't say that.
That's a reason.
Don't say
Janice,
that.
the revolution will wait for you, I promise.
Okay.
Well, I could see
gonna leave me.
Donna, Stahamili, Naomi.
Oh, me.
Hi, Mimi.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, I see Alvaro.
Hola, Andrina.
Hey, Alvaro.
Hola, Álvaro.
Nancy.
Heidi.
Elizabeth.
Hola, Álvaro.
¿Cómo estás?
Bien. Bueno, relativamente.
He controlled it.
I thought we had 30 minutes for the breakout room. Was that 30 minutes? Because I
Yeah,
thought we went
it
in there by
was.
It was.
5:14. Okay, I guess
It
I must
was.
have counted
It
wrong.
was.
And we finally figured out you could figure out how long there was left in breakout
took-
by hovering your cursor at the top of the screen, and
Okay.
it gave you the time.
I guess I started counting from 5:14 instead of.
Yeah, the problem is that it started counting from when we opened the rooms, and it took people a long time to get into the rooms. So
Oh.
it cut into the time of the rooms.
Yeah, it did. By 10 minutes, actually. No, 5 minutes. So I'm not sure whether or not all of us got a chance to speak. I think Elisa spoke from the Spanish language, but Malvis was not able to speak. So I'm not sure if we're going to, what we're going to do.
I think most people are back from the rooms, or they've been thrown out of the
They've
rooms.
been thrown out. They didn't have a choice.
There are a couple of just kind of final things I want to talk about.
Well,
The task.
we did want to have reports from each of the rooms if possible. That was part of this. Why we ended them was to everybody here from each group. There was supposed to be a reporter in each group. So.
Yeah, I think one of the directions was to pick somebody who would give you.
We had a note taker.
Betty
we
volunteered.
have
Thank you,
that.
Betty.
We did not have that. The only thing that we decided was to have another meeting again soon, because we didn't really accomplish anything this time, except introductions.
No, actually, Eleanor, we do have a reporter, John, so we'll
Yes.
hear from him.
Oh, beg pardon.
It's okay.
Yeah, well, I mean,
But
beyond
wait,
the intro.
And we did accomplish plenty.
So do we.
I think Mama PK was still trying to speak, and then we can have our reports.
Well, I was saying what the breakout sessions was supposed to kind of had, and we had some issues of knowing which rooms we wanted to go into. I think that the first room I went to, there was only one person, Nathaniel, and then Nancy and another person came. And then I went to another that had 16 people and talked a little bit, and I came back because I think that that's kind of my job, to take care of you all at the end of a remarkable series of conversations that is helping us to understand what our roles might be for the future. And, you know, there are tasks to be done. We need action items where we come back together. But the task, there are 3 questions, and I can put it in the chat so that you can copy it if you want. The task: what do you want to do individually and as a group before the next meeting? How would you like the next meeting structured? Whom, if anyone, should be invited to speak? How many times, how much time for presentations versus breakouts, report backs, and closing discussion? What do you plan to do before the next meeting? So I will put that in the chat and you can copy it for your responses. I don't know whether or not, Michael, you all.
There's also a poll.
Survey, it's a poll. That's what I was gonna say.
I'm sorry. Before I mention, if people do not understand, you can save the chat by clicking on chat and clicking on those 3 little dots on the upper right. It will save it to your computer. And to find it, you go to downloads or documents or under Zoom. And under Zoom, you will find the saved chat. There you go.
Are people seeing the poll?
Yes, I see it. You want
Does everybody see the poll? Do we want to take a minute and let everybody fill it out?
Yeah, let's take a minute of silence
to
do that.
It didn't let me do the poll, Michael. Do I need to send it?
Okay,
Yeah, I think you have to click submit once you put your answers in, right?
It didn't let me, it wasn't letting me, it was like it was frozen. It didn't let me put anything in.
Okay, Carl.
It's the responses are showing up, so I'm not sure why.
Okay.
I'm not sure where I'm supposed to poll.
The first question is, what's the date for the next meeting? I've got 43% for February 15th, 29% for February 22nd, 29% for March 1st. Second was the area of work you're interested in taking up. It's multiple choice. But a bunch of people want to talk about building alliances with organizations and communities facing attacks, developing communications mechanisms and shared resources for community media, and then also interest in campaign for local public support for community media, overcoming racism and sexism in the progressive media institutions, only a couple of people for that, engaging in lobbying efforts, 3 people.
Oh crap, I answered it.
Could I say something?
I submit. I click submit at the bottom. And it's not submitting. Oh, maybe the date. I was gonna
I
look
think there was one question that had to be answered.
There it
What
is.
about the
I
date?
got it.
Asterisk. You have to have it or it won't let you through.
I clicked the date that I selected. I don't care. Yeah.
I think the date was a required question, so it won't let you submit it till you answer that one.
Yeah, right.
And I say I don't see choices that were included in our discussion. For example, the only choices I think are starting in 2 weeks And I believe they're all Sundays, so I'm not,
No, there were 5 choices. It's Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't know what happened to them. Where'd they
under the
go?
date for the next meeting.
They
I
went
think-
away and we couldn't select more than one, which is usually helpful if you can select more than one.
But there's 3 and none of them include, so I'm not answering.
Okay, yeah, I'm
I'm
sorry.
not and the other one, it doesn't, area of work you're interested in, it doesn't include the one that had 16
no.
members about working internally within Pacifica. So I'm not answering half the
Okay.
questions.
That's fine. Yeah, that got added late as a meeting room, and it wasn't. I didn't realize it didn't change the.
It
poll.
did not let me submit mine.
It did not submit mine either. I selected February 15th in the last 2 groups.
Can I just recommend that we not continue this discussion?
Yeah,
If you
I
can,
just don't.
you can. If we have people's emails, we can send out
Yeah.
That
the
would be best.
additional, we
Yeah,
can send
but I
out
just
another
continue.
poll.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
best.
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, the other thing
So
is,
let's hear. Why don't we go through the groups and get the report back?
Can I ask this question? And send you guys my email. Is there an area in this forum that I can do that now?
On the chat.
Chat.
Okay, I'm gonna do that right now.
Okay. Great meeting you, Nathaniel.
All right, I'm going to just end the poll. We have whatever results.
Well, Nathaniel is trying to write something on the chat. Are you putting
That's
your
fine. He can
information-
write it in the chat. I'm ending the poll nonetheless. So
the poll. Okay.
Let's see if we can hear some reports back from the groups that have them to make.
I can start if you want.
Yes, please, John.
Okay, so we had 16 to 17 people in our group, and that Mimi Rosenberg, who had proposed this idea, summed up the objective, which is Pacifica, except for KPFA and our Texas station. Wait a minute. Okay, so let me start again. Right now, she believes that there is a fascist consolidation going on in the United States, and that it can and has happened here. And it happened post-Reconstruction in the South. Many of the National Socialist ideas and thoughts came from that period, and structural ideas. And we're now having a consolidation of all branches of government, and including much of the fourth estate being media. And they've got the executive branch as well. And my major objective and concern is that while there's internal contradictions, and a number of people in the group mentioned them, the main concern that Mimi was hoping we would focus on is about trying to get Pacifica to start acting in concert with other media organizations, because we are named, as is NPR and PBS, and we're in the crosshairs of that mega movement. And, and it's the only source of non-commercial media. So, and at
my son is one after
Ali,
7.
can you mute yourself, please?
Sorry
Ali?
about that.
So the goal of this is to fight back the Trump attack. And, we can't really rely on the social media platforms because they're all in the hands of plutocrats and oligarchs. And so, we're hoping that Pacifica as an institution can take the lead and make these alliances. And, somebody mentioned, I think it was Akua, said She was interested in how we build a firewall to protect, the stations. And a lot of people agreed with that. And yeah, so next time, let's have a little bit longer breakout meetings, but hopefully we can have all of these groups meet on their own schedule, and so that we have something to report back at the next meeting that we have of the big group.
Just very quick addition, we agreed to meet again. We'll hash out the date over email, but before the next meeting of the larger group. And you're all welcome to join us, so we can hopefully circulate it to the bigger group and anyone can come whatever date we choose.
Great.
Sounds good to me. Anybody else want to give a report?
Well, I'll jump in for group number 8, which dealt with trying to reach out to media and community to expand, our input and reciprocity for our connection with the media and media outlets. And this was some of the suggestions that people recommended. Forgive me if I don't have the names right, but there was a suggestion that we think in terms of approaching the public libraries. Many of them not only have space, but they are welcome groups joining them. If you're paying the library a fee, you can actually fundraise. Another one was events. Join major large events in your community and have your table there. Sometimes you can actually have a little begging can at the table. One such large event is every year the Schomburg used to have a major outdoor event advertising that library up in Harlem, and it was always a tremendous turnout. And our organization used to go there to give out information and to enlist or enroll people in joining some of our activities. There also was recommended that you reach out to put on events and have speakers and panels. Again, you can do that at the public libraries. Another suggestion, I think Donna said it, was field trips as fundraisers. Go to and have special guest speakers that on your program that may have agencies or organizations where you can involve the community, your listeners, to join you in going to a field trip to that particular organization. Tours of city agencies. One such recommendation was that, I think, again, that was Roberta. Poor People's Campaign came to their town, and they co-sponsored an event with the Poor People's Campaign. That came from Roberta Fry. Naomi mentioned the LGBTQ community had a book fair and they were able to offer a book at the book fair for a premium. One of the other suggestions was there are over 180 affiliates. Let's try and reconnect with them, since many of these affiliates are in specific communities, identifiable communities, either by race or neighborhood. And it would be not only good to reconnect with them, but you could also increase your listenership with these groups. Michael came in and talked about music festivals. There was at one point the Clearwater Revival was a festival that WBAI would frequent and raise funds. Another suggestion was to sponsor, not necessarily sponsor, but create and co-sponsor an arts and crafts fair at local universities. Apparently WBAI used to do this with Columbia. And of course, putting on events or sponsoring events with either institutions or libraries or musicians, having speakers and panels. All of these can be, it's like a dual blessing. a double blessing. You can fundraise, but you can also increase the community's awareness and your listenership. Thank you.
Could I give the report on the Spanish language?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, I'm Spencer Graves, and let me see if I can,
I'd like to give the report on the Spanish language group, please.
what?
PK,
Speak up a little, Elizabeth.
I'd like
yes,
to,
we can barely hear you.
Do we have,
sorry, I'm having
Councilman-
difficulty with my earphones, but I'd like to make a report about the Spanish language group.
yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I was saying, do we have an interpretation? Is it gonna be in Spanish and then we need a, I was seeing if we had an app.
no,
for-
we don't. That's another issue that we're going to be addressing as well. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Can people hear me?
Better now.
Okay, good. I'm going to try to speak louder this time. I'm sorry, but my headphones apparently are not working very well.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
The members that form part of the Spanish language group were recounting the many efforts that they have been trying to do internally in Pacifica to be able to implement resolutions that had already been passed regarding Spanish language programming previously, and which have since begun to be withdrawn by people such as Jan Goodman, who was part of New Day, who presented resolution contrary to the previous resolution, which was to have Spanish language programming. There's also been some basic issues regarding Spanish language listeners being able to connect with Pacifica, because there is nothing in Spanish in the phone when the people call in or things like that. Now, with regard to our own specific group, and this is something that I'm adding here, because in order to be able to have a Zoom and have simultaneous interpreting during any Zoom event, the Zoom needs to be enabled, interpretation needs to be enabled prior to setting up the Zoom link. And, and that only happens with bigger accounts, so obviously with having people more than 100 or more. And so that would be something that we should look into it before, when we set up any future any future meetings for these issues. There was also issues regarding how Spanish language media could join in, the non-commercial could join with commercial media, and community organizations such as, and also schools and hospitals, because the previous restrictions around being able for ICE being able to go to schools and hospitals no longer apply. And other members of this group also talked about how the impact basically has been more like shock and awe, basically, in terms of how, ICE has been targeting these different communities. I'd also like to add that it's not only Spanish language communities or immigrants who are being attacked, but also journalists, and specifically Palestinian students as well are going to be under attack. And so all these are communities that we need to join forces with. Most recently, I just want to mention, if people haven't seen, but electronic Intifada journalist Ali Abunimat has been arrested in Zurich. So this is something that we need to talk about as well. We need to join forces around as well, and supporting and getting unions to support us as well, because the American unions have been very absent from the issue of Palestine, and have been and they're going to be attacked by this new rule that Trump is putting forward as well, attacking nonprofits as well. So I guess is that okay? Ali,
I need to make a correction, Elisabeth Milos.
Yes.
Milos, you said a resolution was submitted to the KPFK LSB, Jan Goodman being the leader, and she controls KPFK LSB and the PMB through New Day. But you meant to say a resolution to translate the Spanish language at
No, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. No.
Okay, that is the resolution. That is the resolution that Jan Goodman has ignored since November. It was submitted.
The resolution that somebody mentioned there was a resolution that had been put forward to the PMB and passed regarding having 5 hours of Spanish language.
Oh, you mean additional time?
No,
yes,
5 hours. 5 hours, and that the only place that has been actually implemented was in KPFK,
but
And
it was taken off.
And now that seems to be in question or in danger, given the
Yes.
new leadership under KPFK as well as, and so the other aspect was to try to have a campaign to support Michael Novit to be reinstated as KPFK's management as well. That was something that was also mentioned by Elisa regarding that as well, because of that. And yes, the 5 hours minimum or 5 hours of Spanish language broadcasting
Addition.
I think minimum. I think
No, addition. In addition to the existing language block. That was
okay. Okay, well, I'm sorry, that wasn't clear to me. I'm making a report regarding what happened at the Spanish language thing. That wasn't made clear to me. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to add from the group, from our group, that Elisa Mejia, she took all our information, and we probably going to be working with whoever was in the group.
good.
Yeah.
That's very good. Very good. Okay,
Yes.
next I see Spencer. Hi.
Can I just ask a question of the last group?
Excuse me. I'll ask a question. How do I get that hand thing where I can raise my hand?
Are you
Under
on
React?
It's under the
It's either on raise hand or under react.
with a heart. With a heart.
Yeah.
You see the
Okay.
At the
icon of the
bottom.
heart?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Can I just make a comment about the last thing and a quick comment about the last breakout?
Please, go ahead.
Thank you. One thing is, I don't want anybody to be sanguine about ICE not being able to go into schools. That'll go by the wayside really soon, I'm sure, with Trump. And the other thing is, maybe at some point we should have a webinar with law. I mean, other people may be familiar with laws about, what the rights are, so that we are, ready to go with any immigrant that we talk to. The ACLU has cards, but there may be very knowledgeable people on this call too. Thank you.
You've been very patient.
Okay. Spencer Graves?
Yes.
Just right quick, our group had a robust discussion. Tragically, I failed to appoint a note taker. I think my bottom line and summary is actually in the first and third footnotes on page 2 of the handout on the breakout instructions. That just basically says, go to the article on Wikiversity on information is the public good, designing experiments to improve government. That summarizes research that talks about what the leading experts that I could find say about how to fix the media. And if you permit a shameless plug, I'm also the lead producer of the fortnightly Media and Democracy series available to the Pacifica Radio Network by audio port, and also on Wikiversity under category Media Reform to Improve Democracy. And I'm Spencer Graves, and you can get my information on the handout and contact me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Where's the handout?
Could I make a comment? A really quick comment?
Who's asking?
This is Elisabeth Milos.
Okay, Elizabeth.
I
you
think
wait until after Kirby and Ruth?
Of course.
Or?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Hi, Kirby.
Hello, folks. I'm really happy that I was able to attend as much of this as I have been. So the breakout room that I attended was Overcoming Racism and Sexism in Progressive Media and Institutions. And we had a pretty good discussion about how, since DEI is now under attack, it's been weaponized as another tool that this right-wing nutty administration is going to use against us, that we ought to, we should be ready for that in our own organization. And I think we pointed out, it was pointed out earlier, but we pointed out again that that is in our mission statement, to figure a way to have conversations that get at the heart of and can help resolve social antagonisms, class-based antagonisms, especially racially based antagonisms, and that would be gender-based, misogyny, stuff that's built into the system that's meant to separate us and keep some people on top and some people on the bottom. One of the things we were curious about was if Trump goes after DEI and Corporation for Public Broadcasting. I mean, so, okay, they dropped their DEI department, but then what does that mean? Do they hire in people like this guy, the new military chief, who really believes that the civil rights movement was an anti-white person thing? And so we've got at least on the government side, it's the crazy side of the opposite argument. And how can we at Pacifica, create a model to push back on that? I know that one idea that's been floated around is that we ourselves engage in a brand new DEI process, a new way of looking at it. I know that the executive director has rolled out a DEI plan, and it sounded to me like it was, I gotta say, I mean, I come from an IATSE union that has a legacy of racial exclusion. And we started a DEI committee 20 years ago, and that has been subsumed into something that exists purely to give the union liability, so that when the next person comes and says, "Hey, man, this dude left a noose for me," they say, "Well, we got a DEI committee, so don't talk to us." So that's one of the I mean, we of course, obviously weren't able to settle anything in our breakout session, but we brought these points up as things to look out for, because as an organization, we're as susceptible to systemic racism and sexism as any other institution in America, because we're an institution in America and there's no filter unless we build one and work at it. I think the only other thing that was mentioned that was worth note, no, I think that's most of it. I mean, I think the essentially for us, we're going to have to be that change and not talk about it and not hire it or not go out somewhere and get it and bring it in, but we're all going to have to take part in it. It's the best way we'll be able to understand it and to present a better model. That is a report from session 2.
PK, you have a bunch of hands up, but are there any other groups that didn't report yet?
This is Serena. I was in group 6, which was other community media. We had the PD from Black Power, excuse me, Black Power 96, which is the Uhuru station down in St. Petersburg. And Sandra Forrest, Sandy was also on. The PD there is Eddie Maltsby. He is completely blind. He's incredibly active and knowledgeable about what's going on. He's a great DJ too, I understand. They were talking about the fact that the station had received a grant for resiliency work. And at some point during the period when the charges were being brought against the Uhuru 3, the monies were snatched back. So there's now a lawsuit by the station, being brought by the station, to get access to those monies. I put their email, I put their website in the chat earlier. I'll see if I can put it again, but they are seeking support for that, so that if you can lend your support, please do so. Their station's website says Black Power 96 Community Radio, not just explaining the world, but changing it. And I think that's like a really awesome statement about what media and community media is supposed to be doing. That's it.
Thank you,
Well,
Serene.
that's
This
from
is
Michael.
Sandy. Just add one
Thank
other
you.
thing that was spoken about, and we didn't get a chance for really everyone to talk. But Norma Harrison was in that group and raised the same thing that she put in the chat about the importance of going out to record community meetings and editing them and putting them on air as a way of supporting the organizing in the community. So that was another issue that came out. Thank you.
I'd just like to make a footnote on that station. That station is one of the main stations that the majority of the underserved communities in Florida listen to when there is a disaster. And because the government had shut them down, a lot of people were not able to get communications when the hurricane hit Florida. And in addition to that, our group that met in terms of connecting and media, it's not just a question of raising funds. It's a question of being able to connect and organize in these communities as well. WBAI is about issues, and it's not just a question of going to the library to have a lecture. It's about organizing with the people who come to your lecture to support media.
Okay, Betty, is that what you are in 6? You're speaking to session 6?
That was section 8, I thought. Michael was supposed to originally had that, but he had to help us all get into our break rooms.
Okay. I don't want to miss anybody. I know 8, 6, 5,
3.
9. Do we say anything 9 with Nathaniel and Nancy? We done
yes. Yeah, I was writing it in the. Yeah, I can make a report if it's okay.
Yeah.
We had Nathaniel and Louis Wolf, and Nathaniel from New Orleans, and Louis Wolf from Washington D.C., and myself, and PK was there a little bit. And number 1. About 3 points. Whistleblowers must be protected by local and federal law and agents. And I'm kind of wondering if we have to make sure that whistleblowers are protected from the local and federal agents. Okay. And number 2, we must connect with other groups that are in similar helping other whistleblowers. And then number 3 is Louis Wolf said on his show, Covert Action, they have interviewed former CIA agents and who want to express what they're doing or what happened. That's all. Those 3 points. Oh yes, and Trump for sure will go after whistleblowers.
Can I say something?
Go ahead. That's Nathaniel.
Okay, yes, hello, how y'all doing? And this is something that I brought up in group 9. And I think this should be really expanded to all the groups. And we can build our podium, and I stipulated that we need to start visiting some of these arenas where they got basketball games, college games, professional, and see about, getting the community involved, because at sporting events, here we have Mardi Gras and the Super Bowl. I think, we can get out there and spread the message using literature, whatever, and just put it out there, because a lot of things that we're doing is sort of like hidden because it's not getting out there. And I think the events that goes on in the United States, we can build a podium, like I said, through arenas, going to different games, et cetera, and just, bring our message forward. And especially on the many subjects that we had throughout these rooms, all of them to me is real good points. things that need to be worked on and established. And I believe we can build our strength, right? That way, because the more people that we get it out to, I think we can do some damage, so to speak, without really offending the government. Because many of them are going to want to step forward that are in the government in the same manner, because they fear too. They don't want to be, how you say it, put out there, seem like they don't have no help, and so forth. So I can understand the fear of individuals want to step forward, but I think if we break out and buy and go to these different events and just really push the effort, I think we can do some damage.
Thank you. Okay, so that's who are we missing?
Could I add something, PK?
Yeah, Louis, go ahead.
I would simply add, we should follow the high recommendation by Professor, or the esteemed professor who spoke to us, who really
Dr.
is.
Gerald Horne.
Yes, that's who I mean, of course. And what he said, he urged us to do all together collectively, is to have a watch in all of the stations on fascism watch. And we should, as journalists and supporters of journalist media on the left, should make it our business to follow each and every move in the direction of fascism, which is generally what Donald Trump is about. Thank you.
I'm not sure if PK is still checking, but we have Eleanor, Elisabeth, Milos.
Well, I
James
was.
Ryan. Okay.
Yeah. Elizabeth.
Yeah, I think Eleanor had her hand up.
Eleanor. It was Elizabeth, and then Eleanor's middle name is Elizabeth. Go ahead, Eleanor.
I wanted to know, this is a joint meeting of the Kansas City group and Pacifica Fight Back, and Pacifica Fight Back usually has a meeting at 8:30 on Saturday evening. So I was wondering, is that meeting canceled because of this, or are we going from one meeting to another meeting?
That's not. That's the only thing happening tonight. This is it. Although we should let people know that Pacifica Fight Back does meet on a regular basis. We have an outreach list that you can get on. It's Pacifica Fight Back at lists, lists.riseup.net. If you go to riseup.net, you can join that list and get information about some of what we're doing. And we did co-sponsor this with Friends of Community Media in Kansas City, Missouri. We do have the website, pacificafightback.org, and the email address, pacificafightback@gmail.com, if you want to stay in touch and get more involved.
I'm muted. James, you're next.
Oh, okay.
You're breaking up.
Oh,
your Wi-Fi or whatever, it's not working.
Try cutting the camera. Does that help?
Yeah, cut the camera. Sometimes your audio will work better.
We could not hear him during the breakup session either. The video, cut the video, cut the video.
Yes, okay, am I being heard?
Yes,
Okay, well, this is Grand Verizon Broadband, just to let you know. Okay, all right. I wanted to speak to something that was it Daniel who spoke on DEI from his breakout group? Or Kirby, I'm sorry, Kirby. Was that
Kirby.
Kirby? Yes. So I'll speak to Daniel offline. I'll get to him. I just wanted to get clarification from Nathaniel. He said he was speaking of sporting events. I just wanted to get clarification as to what his idea was or what his concept was.
Okay, you asking me to give you clarification?
Yeah, you said that you know, I think you said from school campuses and so forth that you know the sporting events or so might be conduit. I hope I'm not distorting what you're saying.
No, I understand you very well, and let me clarify this here. And if you think about it, you know, individuals that come out in large mass numbers are at sporting events. Like here, you have Mardi Gras, the Super Bowl, etc. That's happening this year, and I believe that we'll get somewhere faster and get further in regards of whom oppose us. The fact that they're being exposed in these different arenas, you know, is going to really help us get where we're going in a manner and not be afraid.
But how? How?
Okay.
Well,
if I just quickly, if I may just retort.
Let me.
Okay, go ahead.
She asked how. So I mean, it's like we're here. Okay, we can actually get into these arenas. Well, we say like we'll go like California, say the Lakers, you know, areas where there, you know, 30 to 40,000 people come out, and actually we can either have
Oh. Yeah.
Okay, raise your if you want to speak. James, did you finish what you had to say?
No, I just wanted to point out that on WPFW, they have a Dave Zirin who has a consortium, and they have a sports program every Thursday at 10 a.m. and it conjectures sports and politics and current events. That's PFW at 10 a.m.
You guys want me to elaborate a little bit more?
Let's get some more people in, Nathaniel. I'll come back to you. James, can I come back to you? Okay. Frida?
If she's not answering, I was just going to say that I've listened to Zirin before.
She's unmuted now.
I've asked my when Michael Novick was present. I mean the manager. I asked him to get it on, and I would hope that KPFK in the future could do that.
Okay, it was Frida's time, though, but go ahead, Frida. You're unmuted.
Oh, okay. Well, I was in a group that was just a few people, and it was one of the topics was international connections. And I just wanted to mention when I mentioned to that group that the World Association of Community Radio Broadcasters, known by its French acronym as AMARC, fell apart in recent years and was kind of hijacked by the Europeans. And they, the president quit having board meetings and didn't call any more meetings and threw out the North America chapter. And anyhow, the Asia Pacific region is the only region that is now fully functional. And they are working on calling a new meeting to revivify the World Association of Community Radio Broadcasters. It has been very useful in the past with all kinds of international information and so forth. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to get back on. I think Elizabeth was in that. Elizabeth, you were in that group too, right?
Do you have contact information? Could you put them in the chat? Put anything in the chat?
Right now, I don't have it in front of me, but if you email wings@wings.org, I will forward that information to you.
Great.
Are you
Is
referring
that the
to
Women's
Elizabeth
International
Eleanor?
News Gathering Service?
Yeah.
Great.
You're referring to Eleanor Elizabeth, right? Because I was in room number 5.
That's 5, number 5. That's you. Yep. We were in 5.
Oh, okay. I didn't get your name. No, I was in a 5, which was the Spanish language one.
Oh,
So I think you have the wrong number.
Okay.
okay.
But thank you, Frida.
Well, maybe it was something else. All right.
I did get some stuff from Wings on KPFK when I was still there. People are not
Frida was
aware
on
of it.
7.
Thanks.
Stupid.
Got some more hands up.
Betty Davis cannot raise her hand electronically.
No, she has it. They both. There's a hand there, and she's waving too. But just go ahead, Betty.
I just had a question and a thought. The group that Bob Lederer and John Riley and Mimi were educating us about in terms of their report. I'm wondering if at some point when they're having their meetings, for those who can't always join when you extend your invitation, could someone be responsible for giving a report to the Fight Back group? Because the interests definitely overlap there. That was just one thought I had. Just a suggestion, because the Fight Back group is could use your energy and your expertise.
Can I make a brief response?
It would be
Yeah.
great for me if you did.
Yeah, so I mean, to my knowledge, none of us have been attending those meetings, so and are not in a position to add that to our work, but we can certainly get the report, to you in some way, whether in writing or send someone on a one-time basis to come to the meeting after our next meeting. It's like I said,
guess I was just trying to cut down on meetings like every other month. I don't know how frequently you'll be meeting, but if you're meeting once a month, maybe once a month, Fight Back could join with you if you can't join Fight Back.
That would be very difficult. I'm sorry. I don't think that would be a good situation.
Okay, all right. Just
let me just let's not set anything in stone yet. The group just got to know each other tonight.
Right.
We're going to have another meeting soon, and we'll see how often they want to meet, who they want to meet with outside the group. So let's leave our options open. We want maximum participation from everyone, whether they're in tonight's group or not.
That's the feeling I got from what you said. That's why I threw that out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marlo? Are you keeping your hands up, James? Did you?
Oh no, yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna lower it.
Okay. Marlo?
Yeah, I just want to mention, first of all, I love everybody's ideas and I love everybody's commitment. But I've mentioned this maybe months ago, just as an observation. I don't hear anyone talking about a youth movement. Like we definitely, if we don't do it now, when are we going to start getting youth involved in our movement? We need fresh energy. We need fresh blood, and I think we have a responsibility, to carry this legacy. We need to turn it over because this is part of how we haven't been able to move forward. We've let a whole movement of maybe 2 generations just move right past us. This is the airways are free right now. Well, I shouldn't say free, but we have access to the airways and we need to turn it over to the youth. So I just wanted to put that out there and see if we can get an initiative going in that direction. Thank you.
proud to say WEAI just brought some young people to this panel. Brother Corazon and Dr. Shakil. I consider them the future, and they're here.
Can I
Thanks.
say something in regard to that? This
Yes.
is Elizabeth Milos. I had my hand up.
Yes,
previously, but
Hillary.
I forgot that the other reports had not been presented yet, so I apologize for not having paid attention to that.
Can I say?
With regard to KPFA, there was a program that was called the apprenticeship program, First Voice Apprenticeship Program, the technical director of whom is Frank Sterling, Native American, host of Native Circle, and that program was basically just taken away, and that used to be a program where there was a lot of young people joining in, and it wasn't only a technical program in terms of how to do it, but it was also had a very important social justice component. Frank Sterling continues to be to be a journalist and to do things. In fact, he was one of the people that was attacked by the police in Antioch, who later on became investigated by the FBI for their racist texts. And people at the KPFA LSB, the majority protectors who are New Day Alliance, who are in alliance with New Day, actually attacked him when he was facing trumped up charges by the police at the time, which he later won. There's also the issue that I really think people should realize, that KPFA protectors refused on 3 occasions during an ongoing genocide. In January, they refused to even acknowledge a resolution against genocide in the Gaza and Palestine. They did not include it. In March, when we actually had it on the floor, they voted it down. Both of those meetings have not been streamed, have not been put up. The recordings have not been put up on KPFTX. Luckily, we recorded the March one ourselves. And Rescue Pacifica is the group that I belong to, which is a smaller group within, which is the opposition to the protectors. And this past meeting that we had in January, they refused to they refused to even acknowledge or include in the agenda another resolution in support of the Gaza journalists, which I put that resolution in the drive there, right there, so you could look at it. And now Electronic Intifada, which apparently only is being aired, I believe, within Pacifica in WBAI. I'm not sure if it's also on KPFK. Excuse me if I'm misspeaking.
No, it's not.
Right.
Maybe a couple
Ali
times.
Abunimab has been arrested. So we really do need to ramp up our denouncement, our joint denouncement against these people who call themselves progressives within Pacifica, but refuse to address the issue regarding Palestine, and the Palestinian community is being attacked, directly attacked, not only here, not internationally as well, and anything having to do with journalism around Palestine as well. So we really need to step up there as well with regard to that.
This is Michael. I wanted to respond on the youth thing a little bit. We do have one show in KPFK, which is coming from students at Cal State LA, and we're working on getting a podcasting program together with a group of students from Dorsey High School. I don't know if that died on the vine after I left or not. But I'll have to say, frankly, that, the entire time I was there, it was like fighting constantly with the shrinking paid staff to accept the, younger people who came on with some of the programming that we brought on. And as volunteers to assist on social media and stuff, they chased a couple of people away because they were so obnoxious to them. As far as Pacific Fight Back and the rest of us here, I think we need to go to where the youth are, because it's not a matter of us passing the torch, frankly. Most of the torches that are burning are in their hands now already. They're the ones doing, the encampments on the campuses and, a million other things. So we have to go to them. They're not going to come to us.
Exactly.
I have had my hand out for a while, PK. Bella. And Sheila.
Bella, do you mind if I let Sheila go first?
Go. Yes. No, go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to move that at our next event, we invite a speaker from Electronic Intifada to address our group. Also, I know that in Florida, Alvaro was in touch with a group of students who were had been physically attacked on their campus and were fighting back, and I think had won their case. So in terms of involving young people, perhaps we could make that, something of a focus of our next gathering. And, not just students here, but also from other countries or groups here that are working with, like there are Koreans in this country working with Koreans in Korea. And they're activists, and lots of times these activists are not just old folks like most of us here, but are generational, and they involve young people as well. So I would like to make that proposal to expand, as Gerald Horne suggested. I thought his suggestions were absolutely on the money and brilliant, and that we could expand in that international direction starting in our next meeting.
Thank you. Bella?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sheila. I agree. That is good. I wanted to follow up on what Elisabeth Milos was saying earlier. The Rebel Alliance News, 6 o'clock uncensored news segment, the only one of its kind, 6 p.m. Pacific time on KPFK, was taken off the air a month ago. And this program was the only program in which you could hear anything that is going on around the world, including what has been going on locally and in Gaza by the Israelis. And as Elisabeth Milo said, I mean, this is what goes on inside Pacifica. I want us to pay attention to how we are going to move forward as a group and expanding it, because if we lose sight of Pacifica Radio as a nuclei, then really it's not going to help our cause collectively. And I also wanted to mention that it's not surprising that the people that do speak out across the network are suspended illegally by the PMB on the LSBs. So all of this is part and parcel of the suppression of free speech. And as soon as I classified the Gaza genocide as a genocide, early, as it was like a day or two later, after October 7th, a year ago, there was an effort to attack me electronically by people from KPFK. A long list of people attacking me for speaking up the truth. And look what has happened to date. The genocide unfolded. So thank you.
James?
Yeah, okay, I'm being heard. I know I'm not being seen. So just to what Marlo's point about you, I'm glad he's brought it up, because that's something that I'm always have to mention. I'm glad that I get an echo on that. But just quickly, again, I'm in the WBAI area, and we are, as all of Pacifica, we're constantly begging for money. And I had to mention it. I think I had to mention twice that at BAI in specific, we do not. They do not. I don't think to this point they've implemented an app that of money transmission that is extremely popular with youth, Cash App. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it or used it. And as far as I know, it's not been implemented. So how can we get youth if we're not even gonna implement means of money transfer that they use? That's some of the lunacy that we have in Pacifica.
Thank
Okay,
you
I'm
so
done.
much, James. I'd like to add something to that, if it's okay. I don't know if V has left yet, but one of the things is that she was one of the young people. There were young people at KPFT who were doing incredible work, and they were more intergenerational than anything, intersectional than anything. And there came a man who was a professor at TSU and had been on the radio a long time. And Obadike Kamau was rallying both young people and programmers and things together. And they got rid of that. And a lot of young people basically told me after we tried time after time after time to get somebody who really cared about them, but also get somebody who understood the future that we're coming to. For me right now, we're in the first quarter of the 21st century, and we can do better than this. And when I have young people tell me, F that station, they're furious because they can be podcasters, they can be with their phone, their Instagram, their TikToks or whatever. They can tell their own stories. We can learn from them. And I think that that's the kind of conference that I would like to have, where we bring young people and bring them to tell us what it is that they would like to see happen with progressive media.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
You already did.
You can, if you want to.
Okay, I'm just adding, that's why I was indicating the sports arenas and so forth, with college games, professional games, etc. Would reach out to a vast amount of young people, and I think they'd be very interested.
So we are 45 minutes past the scheduled end time. And maybe we could, do a quick wrap up and remind people. This was a live stream to YouTube, and we'll have the video of it maybe edited down a little bit to pacificafightback.org. And as I say, Pacifica, you can reach us pacificafightback@gmail.com. There is a list, an out-facing list that's Pacifica Fightback at lists.riseup.net that you can subscribe to and get information about us. And, we got some proposed dates for follow-up. The idea of this whole town hall was to launch a campaign with a lot of facets to it, and hopefully we will be able to carry that out moving forward. We got feedback from previous town halls that we did not have enough time for people to really start to plan action and to talk to each other. That's why we did the breakout groups, and as clumsy as it was, I think it did move that process forward quite a bit. So we look forward to working with all of you, whether you have worked with us in the past or not. And definitely, I think we need to move in the directions people are talking about opening ourselves up to the input of all the young people who are out there doing this and righteously pissed about the world they're getting.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you to everyone for coming. And Michael, will you be sending out a questionnaire to people about asking them what they thought about this meeting and for feedback?
Yeah, it was supposed to be automatic on this to get a survey. I think maybe when it closes, everybody will get it. I'm not sure how that works exactly, but
can I give instructions about saving a transcript if people want to save the transcript of this meeting?
Yeah.
You go to the CC part in the bottom here, hide captions, where it says hide captions, but you don't press that. You press the little button that's next to it, and it'll show you view full transcript. And then when you view it, it's going to be on your right side, the entire transcript. While somebody's speaking, it's going to be writing it there. And then you go into view full transcript, and then at the bottom, you'll see an option to save the transcript, and you could do that. And that way you could capture all of the excellent presentations made by our guests as well. I don't think that the breakout room transcripts will be available because I don't think that's the one being saved. But in any event, all this important conversations are going to be there.
And Michael, could you repeat the email address again? For
the email address for Fightback is Pacifica Fightback, all one word, @gmail.com. There is
also to save the transcript very quickly, you click on transcript at the bottom of your page, you right click, and then you see the transcript screen open, and you save this transcript at the bottom.
Yes.
No, that's not the transcript.
For
that's
the chat, if you want to save the chat, which does have some.
No, that's the transcript. Save
I understand
transcript.
that. It's yes, we're moving on. I'm saying in addition to the transcript, there's a chat. The chat has a lot of links that people put into it. And
yes,
that's if you open
I told everybody how to
let
say
me
that.
finish speaking, Bella. If you open the chat itself, there are 3 dots up at the top on the right on my screen. If you click on those 3 dots, you can save the chat yourself.
I want to tell you about saving the chat because of finding it again, although I think Bella gave out information about how to find it again through going through downloads and stuff like that, and I never could do it.
On your computer.
Okay, hello. I'm talking. And you can run your cursor over the chat and copy it and put it on a Word document on your computer.
Okay, stop this again. You say the word, the cursor, where is it located?
The cursor is what you drive around your screen to pick out stuff to look at or to.
Your mouse.
I got.
No, it's not your mic. It's not your
mouse.
Okay, I'm looking for the transcript, etc. Tonight.
Can I make a suggestion? Let me clarify. In order to save the chat, it's different than saving the transcript. The chat is at the top. When you are looking at the chat, there's the top part that says Defend Free Speech for All Town Hall. And then there's 3 little buttons, 3 little dots that are right next to that. And you press that, and it will give you the option to save the chat right there.
Okay, and the transcript.
Save both of them and send them to everyone.
They were saved up until the moment that I said we had the instructions about it.
Can you give me the transcript?
This stuff is not saved at this point.
The transcript is in the bottom where you see the CC in a little box, and it says hide captions. If you press that, it will tell you view full transcripts. It'll show you 3 options. One of them is view full transcript. You press on that, and then it'll transform the chat. It'll transfer it into a transcript, and you'll see in the bottom there save transcript, and you can press that button. You save the transcript. And normally, when you find it, you can find it in your Finder under the latest. You do modified in terms of from newest to oldest.
It would be under documents. It would be in your computer under documents, or under Zoom in the Zoom folder under documents.
I'm doing Zoom on my phone. I'm not on a computer.
Right.
So
you cannot do it.
Yeah, can somebody just email out to everybody
that would be Michael.
Yeah.
Send you my email.
I would do it if I had your email.
And I'll send you my email, and you can. I have it from 5:30 this evening, so it's not a complete one. I joined at 5:30. It only gets you me.
Craig, can you put your email on the chat? Oh no, what is your email?
Okay, it's AL.
Hold on. AL.
AN. As in Nancy. S. KOALAS @yahoo.com.
Okay, I have submitted my email already, so I don't know if you see it, but if you need me to.
Okay, I got Alan, KAS at Yahoo.
Allen's and last part it's Koala.
Okay, I'm having difficulty hearing you then.
Oh, ALANS
S.
KOALAS at yahoo.com.
Okay, ALANSKOALAS.
Yes.
Okay, good. At Yahoo, got it.
This is Sheila.
you.
I have to apologize that the the breakout room for art, writers, and computer skills did not work out. There was a snafu. So we desperately need, especially people with computer skills. I know those usually happen to be young people, but if there's any old people here with computer skills, please write to us at Pacifica. What was the address, Michael?
Pacifica Fight Back at Gmail.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I'd like to thank our host, PK McCary. You did a great job. Thank you very much.
Can I give you my email if you guys don't have it?
Go ahead.
Okay, it's T
Put
as in
it in the
Tom.
chat.
Put it in the chat.
Okay, it's in the chat. I have it in the chat.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
At the bottom?
I don't know if you guys can see it, but
Nathaniel. I'm looking
Yeah.
for it.
You put it in earlier.
Nathaniel.
Okay, is there anything else, Michael, that we need to do to wrap up?
No.
I will look
I don't
for
think
it.
so.
I will
You
look
may,
for it.
as I say, you may receive some kind of survey. I did create a survey. I'm not sure that there's nothing. I think it happens automatically as far as I understand it. So
Yeah,
you can fill it out.
Thank you so much to all the people who've been sitting here very modestly and not
Yeah.
saying anything. Hopefully next time we'll get everybody to speak up and speak out and speak up. So thank you very much.
And tell Alvaro, come back to Pacifica Fight Back.
Sheila, I
It's
wanted
great to see you all. Great to see you all
To
here.
all my special guests
I
who
have to
showed
step
up,
out
thank
now.
you.
I have to leave
Sheila, I
now.
think
Thank you
you would
so
have
much.
gotten better participation if you'd offered people snacks.
Next time.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
There will be refreshments next
Future
time.
participation if we ended on time.
Well, people can always go when they need to go.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so I believe Michael is the master of the closing ceremonies. He'll be lowering the curtain. Is that right, Michael?
Well, I would just remind people of the opening message, actually, from Chairman Omali Yeshitela, that the question of fascism is temporary, provisional, but colonialism has been permanent for 500 years, and that's what we're really dealing with it on a systemic level, and that's what has to be uprooted and overturned in its entirety. It's the basis of capitalism itself.
Oh, thank you for repeating that, Michael.
And a footnote on that is that 200,000 African Americans have been ethnically cleansed out of Brooklyn in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
200,000.
I lived in Brooklyn. I know. I lived in Brooklyn. I know.
I call that
Well,
colonialism.
we live in
and
Los Angeles,
fascism.
and the same thing happened there.
I lived in Brooklyn a while back, and I saw what was going on.
Is this in the
Well,
front
as I
page
said, we
news?
live in Los Angeles now, and the same thing happened there.
Of course.
Well, gentrification is in the third ward
Nathaniel,
too.
I found your email, Nathaniel. I will send it to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Hi, Tahamili. Miss you.
Struggle.
Good night, family.
Thank you.
Hi, Allie.
Thanks.
I
Thank
want
you,
my
everybody.
muffins.
Now.
Who was
night.
that promised us muffins?
Thank you, Kamal, everybody else from PFW.
Good night,
Great
all.
to see you
Okay,
guys.
good night, Corazon.
Good night, family.